1011 Bernard I, Duke of Saxony 973-1011. In 1199 Minamoto no Yoritomo, Japanese founder, and first Khan of the Kamakura shogunate 1192-9, dies at 51. In 1234 Ai-Tsung Aizong, last Jin Emperor of Northern China 1224-1234, commits suicide at 35, to avoid capture by the Mongols. In 1450 Agnès Sorel, French mistress of King Charles Roman VII of France, first officially recognized mistress of a French king, dies at 28. In 1555 John Hooper, English Protestant reformer and Bishop of Gloucester, burnt for heresy by Mary I. In 1555 Rowland Taylor, English clergyman and Protestant martyr, burnt at the stake under Mary I at 44. In 1567 Henry Stuart, Lord Darnley, King Consort of Mary, Queen of Scots, murdered at 21 in the orchard of Kirk O'Field in Edinburgh. In 1583 Jeseph Sanalbo, Jewish convert in Rome, burned at stake. 1588 Álvaro de Bazán, Marquis of Santa Cruz, most important Spanish admiral of his day, dies at 61. In 1619 Lucilio Vanini, Italian philosopher b. 1585. In 1670 Frederick III, King of Denmark and Norway 1648-70, dies at 60. In 1675 Gerrit Dou, Dutch Baroque painter, old woman with a fur hat, the night school, dies at 61. In 1709 François Louis, Prince of Conti, French general, dies at 44. In 1740 Vincent Lübeck, German organist St. Cosimi et Damini, state 1675-1702, St. Nikolai Hamburg, 1702-40, and composer, dies at 85. In 1751 Henri François d'Aizong, Chancellor of France 1717-50, dies at 82. In 1752 Fredric Hasselquist, Swedish traveller and naturalist Iter Palæstinum, dies at 30. In 1765 Elisabetta de Gambarini, English composer, dies at 33. In 1782 Joseph Aloysius Assemani, Syrian Orientalist b. 1710. In 1802 Thomas Graves, 1st Baron Graves, British Admiral 7 Years' War, American War of Independence, dies at 76. In 1803 Jean-François de Saint-Lambert, French poet, The Seasons, Luxury, dies at 86-12. In 1811 Neville Maskelyne, 5th Astronomer Royal of England 1765-1811, dies. In 1812 Franz Anton Hofmeister, German composer and music publisher, dies at 57. In 1817 Franz Wilhelm Tausch, German clarinetist, composer, and pedagogue, dies at 54. In 1824 Anna Katharina Emmerich, Roman Catholic Augustinian canoness regular of Windesheim, Marian visionary, ecstatic, and stigmatist, dies at 49. In 1846 Henry Galley Knight, English writer of novels and on architecture, dies at 59. In 1849 Corné van der Plancken, Belgian violinist and composer, dies at 76. In 1857 Dionysios Salomos, Greek poet of the Greek national anthem, dies at 58. In 1873 Caroline Augusta of Bavaria, Empress of Austria and Queen of Consort of Hungary, Croatia, and Slavonia, dies at 81. French writer Les Malchiors de Sophie, dies at 74. In 1874 Jules Michelet, French historian history of France, dies at 75. In 1875 Cecil Tavere, English chess player, first official British chess champion 1866, dies from tuberculosis at 28. Russian novelist and essayist, regarded as one of the greatest novelists in world literature. Crime and Punishment, the brothers Karamazov, dies from a pulmonary hemorrhage at 59. In 1884 James Isham Gilbert, American brevet major, General Union Army, dies at 60. In 1891 Johann Donkind, Dutch-French painter and printer, marine scenes, dies at 71. In 1892, Alfred Moore Scales, American politician, 45th Governor of North Carolina, 1885-89, dies at 64. In 1894, Maxime Duchamp, French writer, traveller and early photographer, Les Beauvieux Descenders, dies at 72. In 1905, Adolf Menzel, German painter and graphic artist, dies at 89. African-American dialect poet, dies at 33 in Dayton, Ohio. In 1916, Heineck Wojciech, Czech composer, dies at 90. In 1918, Emile Delroux, Emile van der Straeten, Belgian writer on colonial affairs, Sudanese legends, The Southern Cross, dies at 30. Cause of death unknown. 1. In 1924, Nils Kjær, Norwegian playwright Detlev Falk, dies at 53. In 1932, Janosuke Inouye, Japanese Minister of Finance, murdered by extremists during League of Blood incident at 61. In 1935, Carl Neff, Swiss musicologist, dies at 61. In 1936, Jacques Bainville, French historian, essayist and journalist, dies at 57. In 1938, Truby King, New Zealand physician, pioneer in infant welfare, Cartney Hospitals, Plunkett Society, dies at 79. 1. In 1942, Laurie Christian Rolander, second President of Finland, 1925-31, dies at 58. In 1943, World War II, Dutch fascist official Hermanus Radon and his wife are shot by resistance members. His wife dies immediately, and he dies 6 months later. In 1945, George Majuro, Dutch anti-lion resistance fighter Majorodom, dies in Dachau at 28. In 1948, Karl Valentin, Bavarian comedian and film producer, dies at 65. In 1949, Paul Skubek, Danish organist and composer, dies at 60. In 1951, Eddie Duchin, American pianist and bandleader, Eddie Duchin Orchestra, dies of acute myelogenous leukemia at 41. In 1952, Norman Douglas, British novelist and travel writer, South Wind, dies at 83. In 1953, Charlie Spencer, English soccer defender, 2 caps, Newcastle Ut, Manchester Ut and manager, Grimsby Town, 1937-51, dies at 53. In 1954, Mabel Page, American actress Lucky Jordan, dies at 73. In 1957, Mikkel S. Horthy, Hungarian Navy admiral, military leader, anti-communist statesman, regent of Kingdom of Hungary, 1920-44, and Nata Better, dies at 88. In 1960, Alexander Benoit, Russian artist, dies at 89. In 1960, Ernst von Donner Ern, Hungarian composer and conductor, dies at 82. In 1961, Oscar Egg, Swiss bicycle racer, 3x world record, dies at 70. In 1962, Harriet Ware Krumpar, American concert pianist, composer, Women's Triumphal March, The Rose is Red, The Varying Shore, and music educator, dies at 84. In 1964, Willie Bryant, American jazz singer, bandleader, and